Hey, what's up everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Derium's Competitive Pokemon. Gonna be showing off Tapu Bulu GX Vikavolt today. This deck, super impressive. I tested this deck leading up to the North American Intercontinental Championships. Just love the way this deck runs. It reminds me a lot, if anybody has been playing this game for a couple years, reminds me a lot of old Blastoise Rain Dance decks and Raybor. Just the ability to bring energy down into the field very, very quickly and then knock things out in one hit. It's just a super, super fun deck to play, and it's also really good. And I think it stays good heading into next year. So if anybody's looking to prepare for next year, these set of cards here, Tapu Bulu and Vikavolt, are brand new from the Sun and Moon block, gonna be legal for a while. You know, might as well go pick these up because this deck is sticking around. It's gonna be a good deck for a little while here. So let's check this out. This list specifically is a list that my friend Treynor Wolf was able to finish second in the day 2 of competition at the North American Intercontinental Championships. So he finished in the top 64 players out of 1,356. So this is a good list. It is tried and true and proven, and it's pretty unique. So there's a lot of testing that's gone into this list. My friend Treynor was attesting to it. So I'm gonna take a look at Treynor's list here that he was able to develop with his friend Jordan Nell. And I know they put a lot of time into it, so major props to them for coming up with this list. Let's take a look at it and check it out. First of all, Tapu Bulu GX is the lifeblood of this deck. It can attack with its Horn attack, doing 30 damage, but the Nature's Judgment attack is the real winner here. It does 120 base damage, but you could discard all your energy from the Pokemon if you'd like to, and it does 60 more damage, which 120 plus 60 hits that magic number of 180. So many Pokemon have 170, 180 hit points, and Nature's Judgment just knocks that out with one shot. Yes, you have to discard 3 energy, but you play Vikavolt to accelerate the energy back, so there's almost no drawback so long as you have a Vikavolt in play. Tapu Wilderness GX is also not to be underestimated. This is an awesome, awesome GX attack. It does 150 damage, and it heals all damage from Tapu Bulu GX, allowing it to tank for a long period of time. Tapu Bulu also doesn't have any weakness since it's one of those Tapu Pokemon, one of those ancient Pokemon from the Sun and Moon region. It's just super sweet that it doesn't have a weakness and can tank hits because of this Tapu Wilderness GX attack. Now take a look at that, 150 damage, put a Choice Band on this thing, it's hitting for 180 damage, perfect numbers to be able to knock out Pokemon with 180 hit points, just like Tapu Bulu. So Tapu Bulu, we play 3 of those. He's kind of our main guy here. We also play a Tapu Koko, which can soften things up with its Flying Flip, deals 20 damage across the board, or just get in there and trade, do 100 damage with Electric Ball. Not a bad option, just super sweet to have an attacker that's a non-EX that is not one of your 3 Vikavolts. We play a 3-2-3 Vikavolt line. Now, thought this was kind of unique. I've seen some lists just go in with all 4 Grubbin and play a 4th Grubbin and maybe 1 Charjabug. This is the list that I was playing, but it was interesting to see them kind of adopt this more stable route, say that, you know what, 3 Grubbin's okay. Decks are slower now than they used to be. You don't need to play 4 Grubbin. So long as you get 2 into play early, you're fine, and you're gonna more consistently set up 2 Vikavolt because we play 2 Charjabug. So I do like this. I like the more outs to Charjabug. Maybe you set up under item lock easier as well because you have more outs to be able to evolve all the way up to Vikavolt without having to use your rare candies. So that's a big thick line, and I do like that. 3 Tapu Lele-GX. Now I do know that Treynor said that he used Tapu Lele-GX all the time as a supplemental attacker as well. It's a super good attacker against Zoroark decks since Energy Drive hits through resistance. It doesn't take Zoroark's resistance into account, and Tapu Lele-GX doesn't really get return hit KO'd by Zoroark Break, unlike Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu gets really abused by Zoroark Break. Tapu Lele-GX does just fine on the other hand. So Tapu Lele-GX, awesome just being able to get in there with its Energy Drive attack, and just amazing for consistency, just being able to hand select that supporter for turn with Wonder Tag. You'll see a lot of these competitive lists, a lot of these lists that did well at the North American Intercontinental Championships are playing high counts of Tapu Lele, not just 2, we're playing 3 and even 4. If you take a look at Tord's list that he was able to win the North American Intercontinental Championships with, played a whole suit of 4 Tapu Lele. So fully expect this card to stay competitive, fully expect this card to rise in price. Get your hands on them now. This card is going to stick around and be a big deal. So this is all the Pokemon in the deck, just super, super straightforward. Love it, love it, love it. let's see, they play 3 copies of Sycamore, 3 copies of N, maybe a little less than you would see in a typical deck, but we play those 3 copies of Tapu Lele-GX, allowing us to get our hands on our Sycamores and our Ns when we need to. And because of Vikavolt's strong charge ability, which once during your turn allows you to search your deck for a Grass and a Lightning, pull them from the deck, and attach them to one of your Pokemon, because of that strong charge ability, you can afford to really not draw as many cards. You don't need to draw in order to attach energy. You could just have Vikavolt set up, and then you could play more niche supporters like Lysandre or Skyla or Hex Maniac, things like this, because strong charge just pulls from the deck. It also thins your deck so that you have a higher chance of drawing into the cards you need. You don't need as many consistency cards, because as soon as you set this thing up, it starts pulling the energy out of the deck for you and thinning your deck naturally. We do play 2 copies of Lysandre, 1 copy of Hex Maniac, a Skyla, a Teammates, which I love in this deck by the way, a Brigette, and an Olympia. So let's go over these other supporters. We obviously know Professor Sycamore and N, great disruption and draw cards. Your Lysandre brings up bench Pokemon, wins games, but we have all these one-of supporters. And let's take a look. With Tapu Lele, we have the option to handpick these from the deck whenever we want to use them, and whenever they're going to be the most useful. Brigette, obviously amazing for that turn 1. Use Tapu Lele, Brigette, search your deck for 3 basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. So you're going to be grabbing those Grubbins, you're going to be grabbing that Tapu Bulu GX just to get things going. Olympia, also awesome in this deck just because it allows you to switch. And Tapu Bulu GX has a fat retreat cost of 3. So does Vikavolt. You know, there's a lot of really heavy Pokemon in this deck. So Olympia just gives you that option to be able to switch when you need to in a pinch in order to change up your attacker for whoever's best fitted for the moment. Hex Maniac shuts off your opponent's abilities for a turn, even though it does shut off your own, so you got to be careful that you use your strong charge before you play Hex Maniac. Hex Maniac's just a great inclusion in here. Turns off Feather Arrow, turns off Volcanion Steam Up, and it just allows you to kind of slow your opponent's ability decks down, so definitely an inclusion. It's a staple in most decks, this format. Teammates, really great. Say your opponent is just getting a fire head start and kind of knocks out one of your Grubbins very early. You could drop one of your 3 Tapu Lele, grab the Teammates, get that rare candy and Vikavolt combo, and then if you have a Tapu Bulu on your bench with 1 energy on it, the Vikavolt's going to strong charge, search your deck for 2 energy, attach them to Tapu Bulu, and then you could just go ahead and use Tapu Bulu's Nature Judgment, right? And 1-hit knockout whoever's in the active. So Teammates does a lot of escalating here. It can really turn things around, especially if you're on the back foot. So I really love Teammates inclusion in this deck as well. And then Skyla is perfect for searching out that Choice Band so that Tapu Wilderness, GX, and Nature's Judgment do the perfect amount of damage that you want to. Can also search out Fury Belts. This list plays Fighting Fury Belts. And most importantly, Skyla is just going to get you that rare candy to set up that Vikavolt, because Vikavolt is going to keep this deck running. Skyla helps you get there. Let's take a look at the items that Treynor played in his list. Played 4 copies of Ultra Ball, made a little bit of a concession and played 3 copies of Versus Seeker. I don't typically love playing less Versus Seeker than 4. Versus Seeker is an amazing card in this format, but some lists have been cutting to 3 Versus Seeker in order to give yourself a little bit of a better matchup against Garbodor decks. So I can respect that. And, you know, we play 3 copies of Tapu Lele, so, you know, we are able to kind of select our supporters that way, and maybe not always selecting them from the discard with Versus Seeker. Play 3 copies of Rare Candy, which is a little strange as well. We expect to see 4 copies of Rare Candy just to be able to get that Vikavolt into play as consistently as possible, but with Teammates, Skyla, and all those, the Charjabugs? And with the Charjabugs in there, we could get the Vikavolt into play just fine with only 3 copies of Rare Candy. So that's okay. We also have 3 copies of Field Blower. 3 copies is a lot more than the other decks that I've been seeing. I'd been seeing 2. 3 allows you to really have a good shot against Garbodor, being able to knock that Float Stone off the Garbotoxin Garbodor with ease. Played 2 copies of Fighting Fury Belt and 1 Choice Band. Fighting Fury Belt is here so that Zoroark, which didn't really play a lot of Field Blowers. Maybe it played 1. Many of the Zoroark lists were playing 0. Zoroark cannot copy your Tapu Bulu GX to knock it out in 1 hit with that Zoroark break. If you play Fighting Fury Belt, you give yourself plus 40 hit points on your Tapu Bulus, and they do a lot better job of tanking hits if your opponent is not able to remove those Fighting Fury belts. Play 1 copy of Float Stone, which is fine since we play that Olympia. 1 Heavy Ball. Heavy Ball has a lot of targets in here. You can search out Vikavolt, Tapu Bulu, and Charjabug. So Heavy Ball, just a great consistency card to have in this list. And 2 Energy Recyclers. Shuffle 5 basic energy cards from your discard pile back into your deck. This just keeps Vikavolt using Strong Charge over and over and over throughout the course of the game. You never run out of energy to use, even if you're discarding them turn after turn with Tapu Bulu GX's attack. Then you'll see we do play 5 copies of Lightning Energy. You see I got my sweet little Emerald Lightning Energy in there. Love that Lightning Energy. And we play 7 copies of Grass Energy. We play this split because we need more Grass Energy to use Tapu Bulu's attacks. And the Lightning Energy is not as important, but we do need to accelerate 1 Grass and 1 Lightning, so we need to play a pretty close split. So that's it for the Tapu Bulu GX deck. Make sure to check out the gameplay videos that I have. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of this channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Take it easy.